Yeah. Okay, great. So we will be solving week 8's assignment questions today. So I will be uploading the recording on YouTube, and that link will be shared to you via the Excel sheet on Swayam platform. Right? So all of now you're well versed with how this whole system of sharing, recording, and everything works. So I generally take the assignment quiz first, so that we get into that tempo of solving programming questions, and then we come to the programming questions towards the end of the session. Yeah. So today I did not get time to prepare the PPT where I take screenshots and then paste it into PPT and then create a PDF. So what I did was I just printed questions like this. Yeah, so we have the questions with us. I will be updating, or I will be doing the rough work along side here on this side, and we will be solving. So today we don't have one page each of the questions and all, but we'll go this way today. Yeah. So, generally, assignment quiz questions, most of the questions are directly based on the topics covered in the video lectures. So, if you have watched the video lectures, certain things are straightforward. And we till now we know that half the questions are very straightforward, related to syntax or related to some theory behind the concepts getting covered in that particular lecture, that particular week's lecture. Yeah. Or otherwise you have to guess the correct code, or you have to guess the output of a particular code snippet. So this week's focus was the tuples in the initial part. So first question is regarding tuples. So it is a syntax type of questions. So what is the correct syntax for initialization or declaration of tuples? Yeah, so you know the tuples is another type of data structure like lists in Python, so in which we can store the values in these data structures, but what we can't we can do very limited operations on the tuple. Yeah, so all those portions are covered in the lecture, that what we can do with the tuples, what kind of operations we can do with the tuples, and how we can't change the order of the elements in the tuple and all. Okay, so but now the simple let's come to the simple part of question 1. How do we initialize the tuples, right? So the first one, that is option A with the square bracket. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, so option 1 has the square bracket used for initialization. So we have seen this is generally for array or list initialization. Yeah. And option 3 has the curly braces. Curly braces are for data frames or dictionaries, right? DF for dictionaries. Yeah. And this round bracket, it is used to initialize the tuple. Yeah. So the correct answer is option B. So dates is tuple, which is used which is declared using the round braces. Yeah. So now okay, yeah, our answer is also correct answer given, our guess matches with that. So how we we eliminated so even when you don't know how the tuple works, we know how the list initialization works, we know how the dictionary or data frame initialization works. So based on that knowledge, we figured out how the tuple works. Okay, so you have to use your existing knowledge to eliminate the obvious wrong answers, which don't respond to the correct I mean, yeah, the asked question. Yeah, so this way also, even if you don't know a particular concept, you can try solving that question. So now we approach this question from the point of view that we don't know how the tuple is declared. Otherwise it was straightforward, that using round brackets and separated by commas is how we declare the tuple. But we knew how the list is declared, so option A wasn't the correct answer, and we knew how the dictionary or data frame is declared or initialized, so option C wasn't answer. So the remaining answer was, and obviously option both B and C are incorrect, so we got to the correct that is option B only. Yeah. So now let's move on to next question. What operations can be done on tuples? Yeah, so option A is tuples are appendable. Option B is we can delete value of tuples, or option C responds to both A and B, and option D is we can count the number of instances of an element. Yeah, so these are the number of instances of any tuple. Yeah, so we can't append, we can't delete any value, we can't change the order in which values are stored in the tuple, but we can only count what is the length of the tuple. So that means the option D is the correct answer. Yeah, let's check. Yeah, we can count the number of instances of the element. Yeah, so we can just determine length of the tuple. Yeah. So question C says what will be the output of the following code. Yeah, so let's check the code. Yeah. So code says there is a tuple 1 2 3 4 5 5 elements, and there's a for loop which starts from -1. Yeah, so this is the start element, this is the end value. Yeah, so len t, so what this value will return us? Length of the tuple t. So what is the length of the t here? How many elements? 1 2 3 4 and 5. So this value will be 5. So since the minus sign is also there, so it will be -5. So the value of I for this for loop will range from, so let us write here. So I will start from -1 because here is the start value specified, and it will end at -5. And what is the increment step? -1. That means it will go from -1, then -2, -3, -4 and -5. But will it go till -5? Yeah, you can either unmute and answer because we are just 18 people, or you can type in the chat box. Yeah, we know how the for loop works. The end value, does the I take that end value? Is this how generally the for loop works? Yeah, we have seen for loops for almost 8 weeks. Yeah, so Shobhaji answered that it does not take that value. So what will be the last value which is taken by I? Out of these list -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5, what will be the last value which I will be taking? It will start from -1, and then it will be reduced by 1 because this increment number is -1. So after every iteration, the I value becomes less than 1, like -1. So the starting value was -1. Then for second iteration, I value becomes -2. For third iteration, it becomes -3. And fourth iteration, it will become -4. But it will not take -5. Yeah, it will stop at -4 only. Yeah, Shobhaji, you're right. It will stop at -4 only. So -1, which element of the tuple it corresponds to, because we are printing that ith element from the tuple. So we have seen this now. The -1 corresponds to last element of the list or tuple. So that index -1 belongs to the last element of any data structure, be it array, list, anything. That index -1 is that of the last element. So t of -1 will be 5 here, right? In the next iteration, it will be t of -2. So what is t of -2? The second last element, which is 4. Then t of -3, it will be 3. All of you agree with me, or you have some doubts? You're with me, right? If there are any doubts, please type in the chat box so that we can take those doubts up while we are on this particular question. So t of -4, what will be the value? It will be 2. This 2. Yeah, 2. So the output of this program will be 5, 4, 3, 2. It will stop at 2. So that means correct answer should be option C. Do you agree with me? The correct answer will be option C, 5, 4, 3, 2. So this was a trick question where the negative sign, the minus sign, and the step of -1, the incremental step of -1. So we had to be mindful of the value reducing by 1 for each iteration, and the same principle. If this value would have been 4, we would have stopped at 3. So therefore this value was minus 5, minus length of t was minus 5. So that means the last value to be executed was minus 4. This minus 5 will not be executed. Yeah, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Even though it starts from minus 1 and it stops at length of t, it will not print one element. It will print all element but the one element. So since it is a negative thing, it is printing it in the reverse order. So we'll stop at the second element. We'll start from the last element and we'll stop at the second element of the list, which is 2. So 5, 4, 3, 2 is the output of this particular code. Yeah. So now let's move on to the next question. That's question 4, right? Yeah, 4. What will be the output of a following code? So this is very easy. This is purely mathematical question. Okay, it's a fun question. So we are given a string called Facebook, and we are storing it in the variable called word, and there is a new string which is a blank string, right? This means it's a blank string. So for every W is the character. For every W, every word in word, so word here is Facebook. Yeah. So for every character in this word Facebook, what we are doing is we are storing what this ORD function does is it converts a particular character into ASCII code. Yeah. So we are I'll just write it here on this side. Yeah, converted into ASCII code. Yeah, so we are storing ASCII code of every character in the variable I. So now here what is happening, we are adding 26 to that ASCII code, we are subtracting 97. So now fun part is 97 is the ASCII code of small a. Yeah, small a, and capital A starts from 65. Yeah, so 97 is the ASCII code of small a. So but not to get confused, what is happening here, we are adding 26, we are subtracting 97, but let's move on, let's move ahead. Now we are finding the modulus of 26. Yeah, mod of 26, that, and after that we are adding 97 again. So basically all these operations like plus minus 97 and plus 97, this will negate each other, right? They will cancel out each other. And when we are adding 26 and we are finding modulus of 26, that's one and the same, right? You're adding say 2 to number 3, so it becomes 5, right? Say 2 plus 5 is 7, and 7 mod 2, I guess I took a wrong example. Yeah, 1. Yeah, 1. Yeah. So if I do 5 mod 2, it will return 1. But when I'm adding 2 and taking mod 2, the answer will remain the same, right? This is like 5 mod 2 is the same answer, and 5 plus 2 mod 2 will also give me the same answer. Yeah. So this addition sign and this mod 26 are cancelling each other out. So basically this will give the ASCII code as it is. All the mathematical operations which we are doing on this I, they are negating each other, they are cancelling out each other. Yeah, so we get the same value which was output of this particular statement, ORD of W. So the same value gets stored in this new variable J. So now here what is happening, we are appending this string by converting that J back into character. Yeah, so this CHR will convert ASCII code into letter. Yeah, so that is converting it back to letter. So that means every alphabet or every letter will be taken, all these mathematical operation will happen, but it will return the same ASCII code as that of before. So this word and new, both the string will remain the same. So Facebook will remain Facebook. Nothing will happen to that. Yeah. So the correct answer here, it would be option A, Facebook, because all the mathematical operations which we are doing are cancelling each other out. Yeah. Yeah, our answer is correct. Our guess is correct. Yeah. So, any doubts in this particular question? I'll just zoom in for some time. So, please go through this, and if you have not understood anything, please raise your concern in chat box or unmute and ask questions. Yeah? Yeah, so I assume there are no doubts or no questions concerning this particular part. So, shall we move to next question? So, what when the following program will clap? Yeah. So it is printing this clap. So the question is related to when this print statement will be executed. Yeah, that's the question. So now enter a letter between A to Z. So we are asking for one particular letter from the user. So player 1's input we are storing as a string named player 1, or the letter and player 2 is player 2. Yeah, so we have two letters. Yeah. So now while this particular condition is true, we are checking if now this ORD, what it does, it converts a particular letter into ASCII code value. Yeah. So whatever letter a particular player has chosen, it will convert that into lowercase, and it will add 1 to that value. Yeah. So it will it will increase, or it will push that letter by 1. Yeah, increase by 1. This operation is doing that, and it is checking if that is equal to, that is same as the string which is entered by player 2. Yeah. So then if that is the case, then it will clap. So now what does that means? If player 1 has entered capital A, and if player 2 has entered B, small b or capital B, anything. So what this if loop, if line is checking is, it is converted player 1 dot lower. So this capital 1 gets converted into lower A, and it's ASCII code. So we have used the ORD. So what is the ASCII code of lower A? Lower A has ASCII code of 97. So it will be 97, and capital A as 65. Yeah. So small b will be so 97, and we are adding 1 to that. So it will be, this will be 98 for small a, or capital A, whatever it is. And player 2 has written B. So B2, we are B we are converting into lower case, which is already in lower, so it will remain small b. And now we are converting that, getting the ASCII code of small b, which is also 98. Yeah. So 98 equals 98, then clap will be printed. If this case is not true, if the player has entered say A and C, then this will not be true, because for A this ASCII value is 97 and plus 1 becomes 98, and C's ASCII value is 99. So this is not equal. So the clap will not be printed. So we'll go to the else part, and we'll ask for the input again. So they have to enter the consecutive letters. Yeah. So let's see if that is a part of the option. So both players will enter the same letter. No, player 2 will enter the next letter with respect to player 1. Yes. So this is if the player 2 enters the next letter compared with player 1, then only it will be clapped. Yeah. So let us check. Player 1, no, player 2 has to enter the next letter, and that is also the correct answer. Player 2 will enter next letter with respect to player 1. Yeah. So clear, or any doubts? I will just go back to the code and keep it here for a few seconds, so that you can go through, and if there are any doubts or concerns, you can ask. So what is happening here, we are adding this 1 and then comparing. Yeah. we are adding the 1 and then comparing. So that means player 2 has to enter the next element, yeah, or next letter with respect to or compared to player 1. Yeah, that is getting, because after adding 1 it is getting compared with player 2's input. Yeah, so player 2 has to enter the next element, or player 1 has to enter the previous element. Yeah, so which statement is correct about the following program? So we have to guess the output of this particular code. Yeah, so thank you Shiv Kumar ji for acknowledging that I can go on to the next question. So let's move on to question number 6. So we have imported two packages, random package and matplotlib package. So matplotlib is another package which is used to draw graphs in Python. Yeah, graph drawing. So this matplotlib, it enables us to draw scatter plots, bar chart, pie chart, all types of box graph, box plots and everything. Yeah, so all types of graphs. Yeah, so I'm just erasing this. It is just, yeah. So matplotlib helps us in graph drawing. That's enough to remember. Yeah, so now we have two variables, one empty list. Yeah, this is the empty list, and this is the count variable which has been set to 0. So now guess is random integer, because this randint, it generates a random integer. Yeah, so this guess is the random integer between 1 and 10. Yeah, from the number 1 to 10, it could be any number. Yeah, similarly pick is another variable, so this happens some 10 times. Yeah, this loop executes 10 times. From 0 to 9 are the values which variable I takes. Yeah, so now pick is another same random integer between random int between 0 to 1 to 10. Yeah, not 0 to 10, 1 to 10. Yeah, 1 to 10. So now we are checking if guess is not equal to. What does this mean? Not equal. So guess and pick are not equal, then we are increasing count by 1. What is it doing? It is increasing the value of count by 1. And L dot append count. So we are storing that count in this list. And else, matlab otherwise, if guess and pick both are equal, then what happens is we are decreasing the count. Yeah, decreasing count by 1, and we are appending that count to this list. Now we are plotting this value L, the list L, we are plotting, and plt.show will render the image for render the graph or the plot image for you. Yeah, so these both statements will generate the graph based on the values in the list L, based on L. So this is what is happening. So now this L has value of count, so we just have to pay attention to what is happening to count, when it is decreasing and when it is increasing. Yeah, so based on that we have to guess the correct option. So option A is graph will go up when guess and pick are the same. Yeah, no, that is not the case. When they are not the same, we are increasing the graph value. So that means when their graph will go down when guess and pick are the same. Yes, because else part mein we are decreasing the count. So we are decreasing, that means the graph will come low. The value of the count is decreasing, so graph will come down. Yeah, so this statement is correct. Go down when guess and pick values are same. Now option C is graph will go up when guess and pick values are not the same. Yes, that is correct, because count value we are, so in short when we are saying we are plotting L, so L is getting appended by count is getting appended to L, so we are plotting this value of count. Yeah, effectively we can say. So we have to read these statements with respect to the variable count. Yeah, so the count is increasing when the elements are not same, yeah, not same. And else condition will give us the same wala result. So when they are same, count value is decreasing, so graph is also coming down. When they are not same, the count value is increasing, so graph is going up. So the correct answer is both option B and C, because the B wala statement is also correct and C statement is also correct. Yeah. So the correct answer is both options B and C. Yeah, yes, Shivkumar, you are right. The correct answer is both option B and C. Yeah. So now let's move to the next question. Next question is also a simple theory based question. So how many of you have heard about Nltk? It's a package. Just it allows us to do, I think we have spoken about the packages in the last week only, where we saw how the Google Maps package can be imported, and there are different packages which are available in Python which helps us perform various operations. So one of the most famous packages pandas. Then there is TensorFlow. It is also one of the packages which allows us to run all the ML algorithms using Python language. Yeah, so these packages, they help us in performing different tasks on using Python programming language, and help us integrate or make our program holistic in nature. With the one program, it will help us integrating Google Maps also. Then it will help us generate graphs also, image processing also. So similarly, this is one of the packages, Nltk. So if you know the full form of Nltk, you will be able to answer this question. Yeah. Or otherwise also, it's very simple. It's natural language toolkit. So natural language toolkit will deal with our natural spoken language, or mainly when we say NLP, if you have heard, natural language processing. So the NLP tasks are done using this Nltk package. Yeah. So yes, Shobhaji, you are right. The correct answer is option A. Yeah, it helps us to work with the human language data. Yeah? So that's the correct language. So machine data into human language, it helps to work on gibberish language and helps to translate dong language into human language. These are all incorrect options. So correct options is it helps us in working with the human language data. So Nltk is necessary or essential package for natural language processing, or NLP operations. Yeah. So question 8 is asking what will be the output of the following code. So let's check out the code. Yeah. So this is the code. So we have the string is hey exclamation mark there. So this is very fairly simple. I think you won't even need my help in solving this particular questions, because we have seen how the sorted thing works and how the reverse works. So one thing you have to keep in mind is whenever the ASCII codes are there, those ASCII codes are first it begins with all the special characters, then the letters or elements start. So the capital letters come first, and then few other characters are there, or keyboard keys are there, and then the small letters start. Yeah, so the capital letter starts with 65 and the small letter starts with 97. That's the ASCII code. So you have to, whenever the sorting operation comes, we have to, because we know all the in what order all the alphabets are gonna come when we pass it through the sorted wala operation. But the question arises for this. So what is happening is generally the special characters, or all the characters, you can keep in mind, they have the this thing. The code is their code is smaller than the alphabets. Yeah. So the in the sorted string, this will come first, followed by E, and then rest. From A to Z, in what order the letters are coming, the same order it will be maintaining. Yeah. And then it is using reversing. So this sorted will do it in ascending order. Yeah, ascending. But this reverse will convert into descending. Yeah. So basically what this print will do, it will print this particular string in the reverse order or the descending order based on their ASCII codes. So I am already getting the correct answers in the chat box. So answer C, yes, option C is the correct answer. That's correct, because we are sorting and then we are reversing it. Yeah. So y has to be first, y being the last elements, and then e will be the one of the last elements, and followed by the special character which is exclamation mark. So that will become at the end. Yeah. So correct answer is option C. Yeah. So we have to guess the true or false. So this is image processing related statement. Let me try to flip so that you can see it nicely. Yeah, I hope the font size is now legible and you all are able to read the text. Yeah, it was becoming too small on the portrait mode. Yeah, so while converting an image into black and white during enhancement, you can't convert it back to colored image. So this is a false statement. Yeah, this is false statement because in image processing also we are dealing with the color codes of the color. So when we are converting the codes to black and white, then we can obviously do mathematical operations to convert it back again to their original codes, right? So this is like converting image from black and white to color, and then from color to black and white are reversible operations. It is not irreversible. Yeah, so this cannot is not true. So we can always convert from black and white to black and white to colored, and colored to black and white. Similarly, all so the image is stored as a matrix, big matrix. So each pixel will have some color code stored in that. So when we are doing image processing, we are essentially doing mathematical operations on the codes of pixel, the color codes corresponding to each pixel. Yeah, so all the mathematical operations are reversible. So all the image enhancement or image processing operations are also reversible. So what this particular code will do? Yeah, quite large misspelling. Yeah, so we are testing the word. We have declared a blank string, and then for every character in the word we are checking if the character is greater than or equal to small and less than equal to capital Z. That means if the character is between small a to small z, so that means small letter, we are checking for the small letter. So this if condition is checking for the small letter. If the letter is small and not the capital letter, okay, so if the letter is small, then we are converting it to ASCII code, then subtracting that by -32, and then we are converting it back into letter or character. Yeah? And now we are appending, or we are storing it into this string. Yeah, storing in this string. So now we need to see what this -32 is doing. Yeah, so I told you one thing, small a has the ASCII value of 97 and capital A has the ASCII value of 65. So can you tell me the difference between these two? What's the difference between 97 and 65? That difference is 32, which is playing role here. Yeah. So when we are subtracting 32 from ASCII code of small elements, what we are essentially doing is we are converting those small letters into capital letters. Yeah, this is what we are doing it in this statement, converting small into capital. Yeah, so this new word is doing is whatever we have taken input from the user, we are returning that input in the all capital letters, all caps. Yeah, because it is finding all the small letters and it is converting all the small letters into capital letters. So converting lowercase letters into uppercase. Yes, that's the correct. Let's check out the other options as well. Yeah, converting uppercase into lowercase, return the same word and error. So yeah, we are converting, this is the correct answer. We are converting all the lowercase letters into uppercase letters. So Was this clear? Any doubts? I'll give you some time to check the code, and if there are any doubts or concern, we can take up. Today I'm surprised there was not a single doubt in any of the questions. Are the questions too easy this week? Or we have now become used to the type of questions, and now we understand, yeah. So it's quite it's really good to see that there are less and less doubts and things are getting cleared up faster. Yeah, so we are done with the assignment quiz. Should we move on to the programming questions? Yeah, slowly we are getting used to the course, and the pattern is so easy and so simple now. Some of the questions are directly on the theory based or the syntax kind of questions, and mostly they are like guess the output. So basically, if you start thinking, you don't even need to know the syntax. You just have to start thinking like a compiler or start thinking like a computer to understand the code and to break down what exactly that code is doing. Yeah, then we slowly get hang of it. Yeah. So should we move on to the assignment questions? Let's quickly complete the assignment questions. So now that will also be very easy for all of you, because we are like slowly getting there, understanding how to write the code, how to write the algorithm for a particular code. Yeah, so these things will also be slowly becoming very easier for you, you know. So now we will first try to write the algorithm for this question, and then we will see how the code is working. Yeah, so I have already written the code, but let's discuss the algorithm first. Yeah, so the question is, we are given a tuple t, and we have to create a function square t which accepts one argument, which is this tuple t. Yeah, and returns a tuple containing similar elements in the tuple t and its squares also, like the elements followed by their squares in sequence, in the same sequence. So we don't change the sequence. Anyways, in tuples we can't change the sequence of the elements. In whatever order they are giving the elements, we have to retain that order. Yeah, so what is happening is, we need to append the list L or append the tuple T. Yeah, append the T with the T of I square, right? We have to add whatever T is, we just have to add it in the for loop. Yeah, so okay, now I jumped onto for loop. Let me start from the beginning. So tuple is not the default data type of Python. So we need to first typecast given input into tuple. Yeah, so we have to we have to typecast the input into tuple. We have to accept input in the form of list and then convert that list into tuple. Now we have to traverse through all the elements of the tuple, because we need to calculate square of every element. Yeah, so that's why we will use for loop here. So for I in range length of tuple t. Yeah, now t of I we will store as some number a or I, whatever it is, or we can traverse all the elements also directly, for so either this or for I in tuple t. Yeah. So if I in tuple t, that means every element directly corresponds to all the elements in the t, right? So 1 2 3 is the list, then here in this case I will be 1 2 3, and here in this case it will be index, and here it will be element. Yeah, so we can use both ways, either element or this thing. Yeah, so syntactically both are correct. Yeah, so here what will happen is, we will, if we take it, if we pick it up as the element, then what will happen is t ko we will append tuple dot append I square, I into I. So it's the simplest function. We just have to take the element and square it and append that square to the tuple, add that square to the tuple. Yeah, but we have seen that we can't modify the tuple list, right? We can't add or we can't remove the elements from the tuple. So how that append is going to work on the tuple? Yes, absolutely, Shobhaji. That was my doubt, how the append will work on the tuple. So that means we need to convert the tuple back to the list. So our function is accepting tuple format data. So then we can convert it into, so concatenate can also be done, or we can do the append also. So since we want to extract the particular element, we want to every element we want to extract, or we want to traverse through every element in the tuple. So that's why the easy way out is converting that tuple back to the list and then handling every element. Yeah. So let's check the code. That will give you a better idea. Yeah. So here in this, what I did was I converted this t back to the list, and now I'm storing it into a variable called temp. Yeah. So this is I did. Yeah. So and now the same thing I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm appending the square of the element and then returning after typecasting. I'm converting the temp back to tuple and then returning it. Yeah. So this is the function. Very easy. I spoke about the algorithm. The same algorithm I converted into. Oh, okay. Same element I converted into this thing. Yeah, same algorithm I converted into code. Yeah, so this is what is happening here. So again I converted, so this thing I spoke about, accepting input in the form of list and then converting into tuple, then passing it to our function. Once the function returns, that return is in the tuple format. Okay, so let's run this and check. So we need to how many numbers we want to enter. So let's keep it short and let's just give them the 3. Yeah, so simple 34. Let's give some smaller numbers which we know the square of. Yeah, so 34 2 5, 34 square 1156, 2 ka square 4 and 5 square 25. So this is how it is returning. Yeah. So anything I should repeat of this code or algorithm, anything you have not understood? So I have used typecast function 2 times. I converted list into tuple, accepted list into, so map is one thing where I am typecasting the input int and converting it into so this is map is to combine the functions together in one statement. Yeah, so what map is doing is it is accepting the input, and split is what it accepts the input in the one line. It splits the elements or the input wherever it encounters. So blank split is split followed by empty braces means whenever the space is encountered, it is broken, it is sliced, and each element is stored as one integer. So this first part integer is the first function. Second function is input. I'm combining these two functions together, and result of these two functions I'm storing as the form of list, and that list I'm naming as L. So this one line, what it is doing, it is accepting multiple inputs, accepting entire list in one single line, and then it is storing that list as individual integers. That is what that map function is doing there. So mapping is when you want to combine more functions, or when you want to run more functions in the loop. Yeah, so instead of for loop, I'm using this map function here. So you don't need to worry about, you can just mug up this syntax. I'm just using the typecasting and input together using map. Nothing fancy. I'm just accepting inputs and typecasting it into integer and storing it in the list. So I'm kind of doing multiple things in the single line. It was fairly simple program, I think, nothing, I mean, we already know how to extract the elements, or how to traverse, how to use the for loops, how to calculate the square. Yeah. So Shobha ji, frankly, I have not tried the concatenate function because I found working with the integers is better, so that's why I converted into list. Because list will allow me to have individual element and then perform operations in that element and then storing it back. So I thought it makes life easier, so that's why I did not try the concatenate. Instead I converted the argument tuple into list for ease of access. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to question number 2. So question number 2 is again easy. What it says that whenever we encounter 3 consecutive vowels, we have to replace all 3 with a single hyphen. Yeah, we have to replace all 3 with this single hyphen. Yeah, and make sure the string is returned. Yeah, the answer string is returned. That's we have to keep in mind. So this is the input. So we have to replace these 3 O's by single hyphen and 3 A's by single hyphen. So that means we need to access all the letters in the string. Yeah, all the letters in the string. So, and we need to check for 3 consecutive letters at a time, because we need to replace all these 3 with 1 hyphen. So that means the string element at I should be equal to string element at I plus 1 should be equal to element of the string at I plus 2. Right? We need to check if this condition is true. Do you agree with me? Because that is how we will get the position of 3 consecutive vowels. Yeah. So we have done this, or we have seen these questions of vowels. So what they do is we create a string of vowels where we say A, E, I, O, U and A, E, I, O, U, and we check if every element is part of this vowels. Yeah, that is how we will do. So string yeah, so concurrence of 3 consecutive models. So if you recall, so this is how we will check for the every element if it is part of vowels, by comparing it, by checking if elements of string at I is in vowels. Yeah, if it is in vowels, then we will, this is the first condition, then this is the second condition, then we will check if all the 3 elements are part of are same or not. All the 3 we need to check I plus 1 and I plus 2. So all the 3 elements. Yeah, so and we need to replace, then we will replace string of I with hyphen, and we'll remove all these 3 vowels there. So we will set this string of I to this thing, and now we need to forget access to I plus 1 and I plus 3. So how we will forget the access? We will change the value of I by 3. We will increment it by 3, so that we move on to the 4th element directly. If first, second and third element are same, then we need to move on to, or we need to check for the next element. Yeah, so we need to increment the value of I. If this condition is true, then we need to increment or change the element of I by 3, value of element of I by 3. So that means we can't use for loop, because for loop by default it will not allow us to increment by 3, or if this is not true, else then we need to increment I by 1 only. Yeah, but if this condition is true, then I by 3. So we have multiple conditions on how to increment the value or how to change the value of I. So that means we can't use the for loop. We have to look for while loop, how to implement this. Yeah, so we have ruled out these things, that we can't use for loop because there are multiple conditions on the value of I. So if we encounter vowel, then we need to increase the value of I by 3. If there is no vowel, if this condition is false, then we will, if this condition is false, then we will change it or increment it by 1. Yeah, so right now it is looking all over place. When you will have a look at the code, it will be again yeah, So first thing I'm doing, I'm checking if it is vowel. Yeah, so this thing which I mentioned here, like if element of string is part of the string vowels and I'm storing all the vowels in the string vowel, so this thing is getting done here in the function is vowel. So for every character, so I'm passing character ch as argument to this function is vowel, and I'm checking if that is part of the vowel or not. So if it is part, then it is raising a flag, it is saying true, otherwise it is returning false. Yeah, so it's a simple binary returning function. Yeah, so now what is happening in the replace function? Yeah, so replace function mein I'm using the while loop. Yeah, so while loop is doing iterations from I to n minus 2, because we are checking at one go we are checking 3 elements, so we are not checking till the last element, but we are checking for the last the third last element, only the third element, not the last 2 elements, because in that iteration we are automatically it will be I, then I plus 1 and I plus 2 are getting checked. So that's why the end condition is I from 0 to n minus 2. N is length of string L. Yeah. So now what is happening? We are checking if this is vowel, this is vowel, this is vowel. If this is vowel, then we are appending this answer string by hyphen and increasing I by 3. Else, we are appending this answer by element of that string and increasing this I by 1. Yeah, fairly simple. And now we are returning the elements answer. So what if this is not like there is no this thing is not vowel, but we are at the like third last element, then what will happen if we don't return those elements till the last element? Then that will not be part of the answer thing, na? So to avoid that, to rectify that, because we are going till the third last element, right? The last iteration will return the index of the third last element, right? Minus 3 from the end. So if we stop execution there itself and not return the last 2 elements when they are not vowels, yeah, they are the letters, normal letters, then to avoid that, that will not get returned. So to avoid that, this last is string I to end. So I colon means from the current index I till the end of the string, all the elements we are appending to the answer and returning it. Yeah, whatever is remaining part of that particular string S, which is to be traversed, yet to be traversed from this while loop, so that we are returning. Yeah, so it just accepts a string and yeah, returns the string. Okay, so now let us try to understand. So you can give me a string, so let us see that only, na, a hello return. Yeah, so it is working, right? You agree it is working. So at the end there are 4 vowels, 4 O's. So out of those 4, it has replaced first 3 vowels, first 3 O, and it has returned the last O after the hyphen. Yeah, this is because of this S no, this S I colon. Yeah, so whatever remaining elements were there after incrementing this I value, so this must have been the because all the 3 are vowels, S of I plus 1 and I plus 2 are the vowels. So the value of I was incremented by 3, and then we returned all the remaining element, we appended all the remaining element in this particular statement, adding plus 1. So this is how we rectified that the traversal problem, and we are returning. So if we do this thing now, first A L 1 2 3, now it should return, yeah, blank, no element after that. Yeah, so you got all. So I did not get time to comment this code, so before sharing I will write all the comments that what a particular line is doing. Yeah, so I will write that down. So for now I will keep this code here for few seconds. If you have doubt, please ask. If you have not understood any of the line of code and how it is working. So I have discussed how the is vowel is needed. While will not run till last character. Yes, it will not run till last character because we need to check all the three characters at one go na. So there's no point in going till the last. It will give some index out of bound error if we keep executing till the end of the code. Yeah, because we are checking here in this line, no, if statement, we are checking s of I with s of I plus 1 and s of I plus 2. So if I plus 1 and I plus 2, if we do it for the last element, no, that I plus 1 and I plus 2 will give out of bound error. So that's why we are not going till the last element of. So the while loop will not go till the last element to avoid that indexing error. And because we can't go till the last element, we are using this return append, this slicing. I think I have spoken extensively when we covered the string operations about the slicing, how this colon works, right? So I colon will return from ith place, the ith index till the end of the string. So this s of I colon will return the element from ith place to end of that particular string. So when there is no vowel, when there is no vowel encountered, then it will return all the remaining elements. It will append all the remaining elements. So we saw when I entered the 4 O's, then at that time this was this addition will this addition returned the 4th O after the hyphen. Yeah. Okay, so in vowel function is very easy. What in vowel function is doing, we had done similar questions, it was part of the assignment questions. We checked if a particular character is vowel or not. So how do you check if a particular character is a vowel or not? So we will compare that character with the list of vowels we have got. If it is part of the vowel, then it is a vowel. If it is not part of that list of vowels, it is not the vowel. That is what this function is doing. So I am passing a character as argument here, and there is a string called v or vowel, whatever you can name. This is a name of a variable. Here I am storing all the capital vowels and the small vowels. Capital A, E, I, O, U, small a, E, I, O, U. So this is the list of the vowels. So now what this if statement is doing, if is checking if this character which we have passed as an argument, if it is in the string v, that means that character is somewhere in the this list of v. So if this condition is true, if that character is part of the string v, then it is returning true. It is boolean true, that yes, it is vowel. If it is not, then it is returning false value. So now in the for loop, we are calling this. Okay? If this 3, we need to know if the 3 consecutive elements are vowel or not. So we are calling that is vowel function for s of I plus 1 and s of I plus 2. For all these. So these 3 elements should be vowel. All these 3 values should be true. Only then this particular f condition is true. If that is true, then we are appending our list is this thing, our list with hyphen. Otherwise else we are appending our answer list with the element in the string. That is what is happening in this while loop in replace vowel function. Yeah, so Ankit has got another doubt. Will it pass different vowels in sequence? I did not understand. You can unmute and ask your questions. Actually, I did not understand your question. If it's possible for you to unmute and ask, Ankit, please unmute and ask. Because I did not get your question. Will it pass different vowels in sequence? Do you mean to ask if there are different vowels, the different 3 vowels in our input? Is that the question, or the question is related to is vowel function? The input wala. Yeah, it will work, it will give the same output. Let us try, because it is checking for each element, no? So even if the different vowels are in the three sequence na, then also it should work, like a e h e f o o o. Yeah, so let us see. Yeah, so it is giving the hyphen. So the which vowels are there in the list, that doesn't matter, only the vowel, because I think the question asked that our code should be able to replace the vowels, yeah, replace the occurrence of three consecutive vowels. They are not saying the occurrence of three same vowels, only the vowels should be in the three consecutive positions. Yeah, that was the question. It's not the same element. Otherwise, instead of checking for vowel, we would have checked for the same element, na? So the question is related to vowels. Then otherwise what we discussed in the I think I used the equal to wala na, then that would have made more sense here, but we are supposed to do the vowel. So maybe while discussing the algo, I made a little mistake. So yeah, my apologies for creating confusion. So here, yeah, this might have confused you, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's no instead of this we will check for this condition, if it is vowel. Yeah, the string of I and I plus 1 and I plus 2 is in vowels. So this is the proper condition. This is the proper condition to be checked. Yeah. So I hope now no more confusion, Ankit. Yeah, good to know that you got it. So coming to the last question, we are given list L. Now we are supposed to write the program to shift all the zeros in the list L towards right by maintaining the order of the list. Okay. So what the question is asking us, that the order of the numbers in the list should remain the same, but this 0 should appear at the end of the list. Yeah, so that means here also we need to change the indexing, right? If there is 0, then so that means the change in the index is conditional. Because we need to change the index, or we need to skip the index when we encounter 0, right? If the L of I is equal to 0, then skip that index and append 0 to the list. Yeah, so that means when we encountered here 0, so we need to skip this element and not store this element. Yeah, so we need to skip the element and and add 0 at the end. So we can append 0 at the end and skip the index. But what if L of I is not equal to 0? Then we are not supposed to skip the index, and I is I plus 1. So no skipping the index, but instead increment the I and append the list by no, not append, keep the list as it is. Yeah, no need to append, keep the list as it is. Yeah, so this is what we have to do. Yeah, but how to so now let's go to the code and see how it is translated into code. Yeah, so right now it is looking very simple. So again, for the same reason that there is a conditional increment on I, so we can't use the for loop, because for loop we can't control the condition for increment and decrement of I. So that's why we are again using the while loop here. So what we are doing here is we are counting the number of zeros and storing it in this particular variable called zeros. So how many zeros are there? and then we are appending those many zeros at the end, but we don't need to traverse through all the elements. So what we are doing is we are subtracting the length of L. We are traversing from 0 to, we don't need to go to all the way L, but we can stop at length of L minus number of zeros wala index. Yeah, because those many those many zeros are getting added, so we don't need to traverse through those zeros again and again, right? So now same thing is doing in this for loop. Yeah, so if L of I is 0, if a particular element in our list is 0, then we will pop that element, we will pop that index. So this popping is, we are just removing that element, that index. So L dot pop is it removes that element, and we are appending the 0 to the list, and we are decreasing the value of I because we removed that particular element. So let me just try sorry, let me just try showing you here. Yeah, so here is our list 0 1 0 3 and 12. Yeah, so if L of I is 0, so this is 0, then what we are doing is we are using the pop function. So we are pop on L of I. Yeah, so we are removing this 0, but now I is 0, but now we need to keep the I 0 only. I becomes 2 for the next next execution, but we need to keep the I's value 0 itself. So that's why we are doing I minus 1. Yeah, so I minus equal to 1 is I equal to I minus 1. So we need to do this operation after popping and appending. Yeah? Or otherwise, if this condition is not true, else, or otherwise also, otherwise we have to keep we have to increase I. Yeah, we have to move forward. Once we are done executing or comparing this 1, then we have to move to 2. Yeah, this is 0 1 2, so we need to move to the index 2. So since we are removing, we need to subtract here, because we are skipping the index. And if we are not doing, if the element is not equal to 0, then we have to increment the value of I by 1. ठीक है, you understood why this is happening? I minus equal to 1 is we are decreasing the value of I because we are removing a particular element from the list using the pop function. Otherwise we are incrementing and we are printing this L as it is. Okay, so code is clear. Should we check the output? Yeah, so let's check the output. Yeah, so we are supposed to enter the number of elements. Yeah, so let us enter 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 10. So now, oh, I did not enter zeros. Okay, yeah, my bad. Huh. 0 comma, oh, what I'm doing. Yeah, 0 comma 3 comma 5 comma 6 comma 0 comma 40. Yeah, so now 3 5 6 14 0 0. Yeah, so it is pushing all the zeros, or it is appending all the zeros at the end, and it is pushing all the numbers to the front of the index, or the other numbers index is getting reduced, and we are removing zeros and appending zeros at the end. So you got the code of this, like you code and the logic behind doing these operations. Is it clear? Any doubts in this code? Okay, great. Good to know that you're finding this, and you're now understanding all the logic behind, and the code is nowadays getting understood very easily, because slowly we are getting hang of it, slowly you're reaching there, so in the initial weeks I used to get this question of, how we will do the programming assignments, is there programming exam. So I think now most of you would be confident that if in programming exams, if similar question comes, you will be able to solve. Yeah, because now we know different functions, now we know how the for loop works, now we know how the while loop works, so it is easy for us to manipulate the input, and to think in that particular way, how to think algorithmically, and then if you have the algorithm in place, then you can convert it into Python. Okay, so Shiv Kumarji, I think practice is the key to think like that, So there are, so mostly the questions will be similar in nature, like, instead of say pushing all the zeros to the left hand side, right hand side, so at the end, push them towards left hand side. So what we will do is, instead of appending function, what we will do is, we will count the number of zeros, and we will initialize a list where all the first numbers will be zeros, and then remaining non-zero number we will append at the end of the list. The same loop, same thing we can do, so instead of that, other way to do this is using for loop. You access every element, and then in that every element, if it is zero, then create another list, and then store every element there, and when you encounter zero, append it at the end. Or so similar way, you count number of zeros, you initialize a list with first 2-3 zeros. So in our inputs case, number of zeros was 2. Yeah, so if this would have been instead of at the right hand side, if this would have been pushed towards the left hand side, then what we would have done, created a new list where initial elements are 0, and then appending the rest of the elements as it is, and popping the zeros from that element. Yeah, so popping would be removing that those elements. So it's not really very difficult and can't be done kind of a task, but if you practice, and so it is like a pattern, you need to identify the pattern and then think in that pattern manner, think from the algorithm point of view. So if you recall, what we did for all the questions is, we thought about how we can convert this question into code. Yeah, so when you're converting something into code, we need to firstly come up with algorithm. So when we write something in algorithm, yeah Shobhaji, exactly, when we have less time, you immediately pick up pen and think about algorithms, how you will do, what functions you will use. So like here we thought about 2 ways for loop can be used, and then only we concluded that this is the better way to use for loops. Instead of addressing the index, if we address the element through the loop, it is easier because we need the elements and then square it. So otherwise here we had to declare another variable and then append append t with a square. So this would have been our approach, but instead we did it in one statement here. Just pick up the element and append t with that square of that element. So this is how to do the program when there is a time constraint and you have to do it very quickly. So firstly you try to write it in English and half Python, what function you will use and where you will use, and then convert it into syntax. So that's the best way to think. First you think of algorithm and then convert it into Python. And to develop that way of algorithmic thinking, we are practicing all these programming assignment questions. So all the questions are different from each other. So they are exposing us in different ways, how we can use the while loop, how we can use the for loop, what are the different functions. It is compelling us to look for new functions. So today one of the new functions, we have used append function before that, but we had not used a pop function. So we got to know new function. So that is why it is important to do this practice and not forget the code, not forget the new functions which you are learning, inbuilt functions of Python. Many of the times there are so many inbuilt functions, we can check it for that. So yeah, you want it for, okay, fine. The last questions, I assume, Ankit, you want to check that output for this particular question, pushing the zeros at the end. I'll check. Just check. Yeah. So the input you are suggesting is 5 comma, sorry, yeah, 5 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 2. Yeah, so it is giving 5 2 and appending 3 zeros at the end. That is what it's supposed to do, right? That is what our intentions were, pushing all the zeros at the end. So yeah, we have checked it for 3 zeros in the middle, so that is pushing all the elements at the end. So here for this code, I think the key point was the pop function. Pop function allows us to remove or pop a particular index out of that list. So this was the key thing here for this particular code, and we are manually appending 0 at the end of the list. So how many, those many elements which we are popping after checking this if condition, we are adding those many zeros at the end, and we are decrementing that I value. So Shobhaji has another question. Suppose they ask to keep the numbers in the ascending order and then we have to apply sort. Then what will happen? Then it will be simple. We are increasing I. So before printing L, what we will do is we will not write this append statement here. We will just pop that 0. We have the count of zeros from here, right? We are counting, we are storing it zeros, L dot count is 0. We will not use this L dot append. We will just use the pop value. So now after popping, we are removing all the zeros, and then at the end we will use the sort function on the L, and after sorting we will append those many zeros at the end of the L. No, Shivkumarji, that will give the descending sort and reverse the result, will give the descending order wala thing, no? I think I minus 1 is perfectly reverse traversing. Oh yes. Yes. So I'm doing I minus 1, like I minus equal to 1, because we are, okay, fine. For this code, let us consider 50002. So for I0, we are at the 5, L of 0 is 5. So 5 may this if condition will not be true. So we are incrementing the value of I by 1. This second last element, this line, I plus equal to 1. So now I becomes 1. So L of 1 is 0. So the if condition becomes true. So we are popping that 0. So now L of 0 is the next element, which is again 0. Yeah. So the I value should remain the same. It we should not be able to it should not go forward. It should remain the same. So that's how if we are popping that element, then also we need to be there only. The I value should be there only. We should not miss any of the element. So that's why I'm using that minus I minus equal to 1. Yes. So it is doing the dual function so that the number of zeros doesn't matter, and we are not missing any of the elements in that particular list. Yeah, it's good discussion. So any more discussion points or doubts are welcome here. So now my advice would be try to come up with algorithm first and then convert your algorithm into Python. That way you will be far more confident and more quick in programming. If you directly open the editor and start typing, start typing the Python code, if you open the IDLE and start coding there itself, then many of the times we get stuck very easily. But if we have algorithm in place, we just have to convert that algorithm into Python. So we just have to handle the syntactical errors and not the logical errors, because we have the logic in place. So that is important. So I think that will help, because that always helps me. I still have the habit of developing the logic first, the algorithm first, and then convert it into Python. So that is the personal experience that this strategy always helps me. So you can also try that thing, also might help you and get you to code a little bit faster than you expecting. And then again, the practice and knowing all the syntax correctly also helps. Knowing different functions also helps. So right now I'm not writing exams, so I can use Google to look for the functions. So yeah, that's another point where I have advantage. But in exams you might not be able to use Google for your help. So that way, practicing, this way, it will help. Try to jot down new functions which you have learned, and then get to their syntax. It's fairly easy. Most of the IDLEs will help you with the syntax, so you just need to know the names of the functions. Yeah, so if there are no more doubts, we can close today's session, I think. Yeah, it's already nearing 8:30. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Shobhaji. Good night to you too. Thanks for joining. Let's meet next week and try to solve together week 9. So it's good that we are requiring less and less time. And I was happy to have conversation out of the assignment questions. Like we talked about algorithmic thinking and all those things. So do try that out and let me know next week if that was helpful or not. Yeah, so we can have a list of strategies which all of us can adopt to perform better in the NSEM exams and to excel at programming in general. Yeah, so all the best, good luck, see you next week. Closing the session. Yeah, thank you for joining. Bye.